So today we will start with the demo sessions. Okay, so this week completely we will dedicate it for the demo sessions. Okay, so in this demo session, but this demo sessions is also very important. It is a part of learning. Okay, it is part of the API testing learning. Okay, where I'm going to teach all the prerequisite which is required to start with the API testing. Okay, so about the web URL, all the details about the HTTP methods and JSON language, all these things we'll be learning in this demo sessions. Okay, so sorry guys, I had little cold. Okay, so just let me know if my voice is if it is very low, or if you're not able to listen my voice. Okay, just let me know. Okay, okay. So now, as a part of our API testing, okay, so we are learning about the web URL. Okay, so like what is web URL, how it is defined, and what are the things we need to take care. All these things we have to be very clear, because the URL is the what we are working with. Okay, so API testing is nothing but, so it will be provided like this only for us. Okay, whatever the URL you are seeing here, so you'll be getting the URL from the developers like this only. Okay, so they will send you the URL, and they will give you, if there is if there is any authentication, if you need to perform before working with that API, they will give you all the details in the document. Yes, this is the URL, and this is the parameter, this is the endpoint. You have to hit this endpoint, then you will get the response like this. Okay, so all these things will be defined in the document. By looking into it, we need to add it, being a test engineer. Okay, so what we will do means, we are starting from the scratch. This course defined like this only. Okay, because the people who doesn't know any knowledge, and the people who is jumping from non-IT to IT, and the people having some idea, for all of one I had to take in a single boat only. Okay, so that's why I'm starting from very basic. This is the web URL. This concepts and all very basic concept, but which you have to be very carefully. We have to understand each and every parameter. Okay, okay. So web URL. So web URL means uniform resource location. Okay, so uniquely identify the specific web resources inside the web application. Okay, so remember what it is telling. Uniquely identify the specific web resource inside the web application. Okay, okay guys, what is resource? What is web resource? What you guys know, like what is web resource inside the web application? Mm-hmm.
Inside the web page contain link, then
Yeah.
tab, all the
Mm-hmm.
resources.
Okay. 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 Thank you. Okay. See, for example, the web resource in the nothing but. So what they're telling is uniquely identify the specific web resource inside the web application. Okay, which means that just I'm taking just considers it is a web application. Okay, so this is a web application. So inside this web application, we have our different resources. Okay, so what is that resources? Okay, this is one resource. Okay, this is maybe a home resource. Okay, and this is one resource. This is maybe a contact resource. Okay, and this is one resource. This is maybe a information resource. Okay, just different resource. Okay, maybe this is a home resource, and this is maybe a contact resource. Okay, and this is maybe a about resource. Okay, and this is maybe a search resource. Here one search resource. So basically, different future, different uh, elements in the web application is nothing but a web resource. Okay, this is a search resource. Okay, so uniquely identify the specific web resource inside the web application. This entire thing is a web application. Okay, so in this web application, we are having different resources. Okay, so how it will identify it? Just observe here this example. So it is going to the google.com and it is identifying in the google.com we have a different resource, right? So set a suppose someone is, just mute yourself. When it's required, you can unmute and ask the question. Manish, right? So I will mute you. Okay, when it's required, you just unmute yourself and ask the question. Okay, yeah. So these are the different resources. Okay, so in these resources, the URL is helping us to identify it uniquely. How it is helping? See, take this. Okay, it is reaching till the google.com. In the Google, we have a different resource. Okay, so even though we have a different resource in the google.com, okay, so it is it is going for the search element, means search future, search resource it is going. Okay, maybe consider it as a google.com only. This is google.com application, and in that google.com application it is identifying search resource right now. Maybe later it will identify home also, contact also, and about also. So to reach particular particular person, for example, take it as a home. Okay, this is one person, this is one person, and this is one person, and this is one person. Okay, so they want to talk with this person. So what they will do, like this URL they will define. Okay, so this is possible with the URL only to identify the specific person. Okay, so when they ask about URL, uniquely identify the specific web resources inside the web application. Without the URL, to identifying the particular resource and all is not possible. Okay, so that's why URL defining the URL is very important. Okay, properly we have to define while defining that. Okay, and next, it's very general information. Every web application should have its unique address in the form of URL. Okay, obviously, every web application should have its unique address in the form of URL. We have a lots of application, like we have a WhatsApp. Okay, WhatsApp we have Facebook, we have Twitter. Okay, okay. So what they're telling is every web application should have its unique address in the form of URL. See, this application is have one unique address. This application is have one unique address. This application is have one unique address. For example, like a whatsapp.com, https whatsapp.com is the WhatsApp address. Okay, maybe Facebook, https facebook.com. Okay, and this one, last one, https twitter.com. Okay, so these are all the unique address for the different application. Okay, so what if for each and every application, if it is like a https xxxyyyy.com, if it is like this for each and every application, so it's something like the address is same for each and every application. There is big ambiguity problem, right? How it will define the different addresses, correct? Okay, it's not possible, correct? So that's why, so they are telling that every web application should have its unique address in the form of URL. In the form of URL, this every application is have their own unique address. Okay, so this is what they're specifying. Okay, so URL is a one and only way to access any web application via browser. Yes, that is true. Okay, whatever the application you want to access, obviously you have to make use of a URL. Without the URL, how you will call that particular application? See, if you go simply open the Google and open WhatsApp, if you tell like that, it will open. No, right? You have to enter the WhatsApp URL, correct? So that is what they're telling. And this is general example. Maximum number of character in the URL is 200. Okay, remember this. In interview, they may ask you, okay? URL in the sense, this is what, okay? See, this is one URL. Whatever the thing I'm launching here, this is one URL, okay? So this character, what they're entering here, it should be a maximum 200 only, okay? If it is a 201 also, it will not work. The maximum character allowed is lost is 200 only. Okay, this is what they're specifying. Okay, so next. So the syntax for the web URL. Okay, what is the syntax for the web URL is it should contain protocol. It starts with a protocol. Okay, this protocol is nothing but address. Okay, so it should contain the protocol and following the protocol domain name. Okay, and after that, if it's required, port number and resource path, query string, and fragment ID. Okay, so these are all the things. It's very important. Domain name, port number, resource path, query string, fragment ID. Okay, so this is what this is the syntax of the web URL. Okay, so here also that is what they're specified. Here they're giving a protocol and then domain name and port number and resource. Okay, so here is also like protocol, domain name, and resource. This is somewhat query string. These are all the things I will be telling you later. Okay, so this is we call it as a query string, something extra information about the resource. Okay, and here, so instead of domain name, they are specifying IP address. This I will tell you guys. Okay, later. And here resource, and this is the query string. Okay, so this is the sample example for the web URL. And observe here, it should follow the syntax of this general syntax. Whatever the URL we are defining here, so it should follow the syntax of this. Okay, the syntax, following the syntax is must. It will not work if you domain name if you are mentioning at the end and if you are mentioning the resource in the first, okay, it will not work. After the protocol, it must be a domain name only. After the domain name, then if you are want to define means it's protocol. What is this? Sorry. If you want to define the port number means you have to define it here only. Then you have to define it resource. Okay, if you make it, here and there means it will not work. Means instead of domain name specifying resource path, and after this domain name will specifying in the place of resource path. If you do that means it will not work. Okay, so this is the syntax. It should follow like this only, one by one, one by one. Okay, so in the syntax there are many things which is not a mandatory things. Okay, the one is the port number is not a mandatory, that is something like a extra information. Okay, so whether you can specify or you not specify, it will work, the URL will work. Okay, this is the optional thing. Okay, yes, see, observe here. Okay, HTTP localhost I am specified port number and then resource. Okay, you can specify or else you can also remove it, it will work. Okay, so this is a optional port number. Okay, and one more thing, fragment ID is also optional. Okay, but the domain name, this query string is also like optional. If we want to provide extra information, then we have to give. Okay, so domain name and all is a mandatory. Protocol, domain name, resource path is a mandatory parameters in the URL. Okay, in interview they may ask you what are the mandatory parameter. Okay, so you can tell that yes, protocol we have to specify because we need to give a idea that which protocol we are going to use. We have to give idea to the services. Okay, then domain name is must and resource path is must. Okay, you have to specify that, and they may ask you what is the optional parameter, whether we can enter that, whether we are not entering that, the function will work. So which is that parameter? If they ask you, yes, port number is a optional parameter and fragment ID is also optional parameter. So these are the some parameters which we consider as a optional. Okay, so this is what your response. Okay, Okay, clear? Any doubt till now? Okay, okay. So now what we will do, okay, to understand how the URL is working, how to understand each and everything, okay. I mean to say how the parameters we can understand. Okay, to understand that, we will first start with a general example. Okay, so let's try to understand the web URL with a general example. Okay, listen carefully. You have to answer now. Okay, so okay, consider this as a street. Okay, so consider this as a street. Inside the street, you have a different apartment like this. Okay, you have a different apartment. So inside the apartment, you have a so apartment have a apartment name as well as apartment ID. Okay, so apartment have a apartment name as well as ID. This is the apartment name. Hmm. This is the apartment name and this is the apartment ID. Okay, so inside the apartment also we have a different flats. See, this is a flat one, this is a flat two. Okay, and in this apartment too also we have a flat one, flat two, flat three. Here we have a flat one, flat two, flat three, flat four. Okay, so like this we have a different flats. Okay, so now what I have to do, I want to write a single line address for this. Okay, so what I have to do, in we have to go for the apartment one, and we have to go for the flat number two, and we have to identify the person who is present in the flat number two. Okay, so how my control has to go? First, my control has to reach to the street. Then after reaching the street, it has to go for the apartment one, and then after the control is going to the apartment one, then the control has to go for the flat number two. Then the control is going to the flat number two. It has to identify the P2 person. This person it has to identify. Okay, how to write the single line address for that? See here, observe here, address. You can write it as a street also. Okay, first it is reaching here. Okay, this is reaching here like a address. Then it is specifying the apartment one. Okay, so you can specify apartment one, or else you can also specify apartment ID 121. Okay, so here I'm specified as apartment one. Then I'm reaching for the flat two. Okay, this is the flat 2. Yes, I'm specified here. Then after reaching to the flat 2, I'm identifying the P2 person. Okay, so this is how I'm writing the single line address. Okay, so now tell me, okay, everyone has to interact now. Okay, so either through the chat or you can mute yourself. Okay, no, you can send it in a chat only, because somebody answers means others will get quiet, right? So you can answer to the in the chat and send it to, like, only organizer. Okay, so now I want to identify the person who is present in the flat 3 of the apartment 2. Write a single line address for that. I want to identify the person who is present in the flat 3 of the apartment 2. Write the single line address and send it to me. Quick, 2 minutes of time. Okay, Vijay, you are from previous batch, right? Hmm. Send it, guys. Quick. Okay, Amita sent. Only Amit is responding. Others sleeping? Sleepy? Okay, Vijay is responded. Okay. Others, shall I consider your silence as that you guys are sleeping? Okay. Okay, guys. Fine. Okay. So thank you, Vijay and Hamid. Okay. Yes, whatever the thing you are written is correct. Okay. Let me copy. Okay, so this is a single line address. This is the single line address. Okay. So there is a four apartment. In that apartment, to identify the specific apartment, either I use a apartment name, else I may use the ID. Okay. So for example, here you can also use instead of apartment two, you can also use a ID means 1222. I mean to say street 1222 flat 3 slash P2. Okay, so this is also you can use. So this is a general example, guys. Okay, so very it means like a general example to understand the web URL. Okay, so okay, so what we have to learn next is okay. Remember this general example how we are writing here. Okay, tomorrow I will I will give you some sample example. So you have to write the URL for that. Okay, not a general one that is with respect to application. So you have to follow these steps and you have to write a URL for that. Okay, so this is the thing. So understood? Any doubt within this? What is web URL? Okay, how to access any of the application and what are the mandatory things and how to write the single line address for the general example. All these things understood or any doubt? Mm-hmm. Quick. Any doubt? Any doubt, guys? No. Okay. Amit, Manish, Ronit. Have any doubt? Okay. Okay. So tomorrow we'll learn, okay, whenever we are sending some URL in the browser, what is happening in the browser level? Okay. So what happens when we type the URL in the browser? Okay, that one thing. Then how to work with the, you know, now we learned about the general example, but actually with the application how the URL will work and how it is defined inside and what happens when we are typing in the browser. For example, this is the URL. Okay, so this is the URL. So whenever we are typing this URL in the browser, what happens internally? How the request will create to and from request. Okay, so after that, how it works in the network, how the URL will works in the network, and what are the different protocol we have. how it is useful. So all those things we will be learning in the further session. Okay. So once after completing this, we will jump into JSON learning. What is JSON? Why we are going for the JSON? What are the advantages of JSON? And how to create a JSON object? How to create a JSON array? How to access those objects? All those things we'll be learning. Okay. So in later sessions we'll be learning all those things. Okay. So within this, so guys, one more thing. So within this demo class, please do enroll if you are interested. Okay, because we will start the session, actual session, as soon as possible. Okay. So I'm keeping the buffer time of this 4 days. Once after the 4 days, we have to plan for the actual classes instead of this demo classes. Okay. So before that, plan accordingly to enroll. Okay. Okay, guys. Then tomorrow we'll connect again. Okay. Bye. Take care. Have a great day. Thanks for joining. Bye. Thank you.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, Harshil, miss, what is the reason of that class is extended by 6 a.m.?
Sorry.
Miss, what is the reason of that class are extended by miss? Change the time
Which class, Vijay?
of 6 p.m.
6 p.m.
Yeah, I'm yeah.
Hey, we
No,
don't
no,
have a class.
AM, 6 a.m.
6 a.m. class is completed already. You were not, I think you
Okay.
didn't attended the sessions, right? From long time.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what. That is completed. That's completed. This is a new batch, Vijay. Have you gone through the videos which they have uploaded in the Google Drive?
yeah, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, then you talk offline, okay?
Yeah,
So you are there in that group, right? Fee. Yeah, Manish. Manish, you are not attended yesterday's workshop. Okay, the fee will be 4,000. Yes, I'm unmuted yourself.
No, no, today is my first session, ma'am.
Sorry? Yes, Manish.
Yeah, today is my first session, ma'am.
Okay, okay. No, yesterday just we connected the workshop. So I thought you attended. Okay. Yeah, the fee will be 4,000. And the class timing is this 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. And the duration will be 30 to 35 days.
Okay, ma'am. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay, guys. Then we'll, catch up tomorrow. Okay. Bye. Have a great day. Okay. So yesterday we were talking about web URL, correct? Okay. So now today we complete, whenever you're writing something into a browser, so what happens? Okay. Means whenever you're typing URL into the browser, so what happens internally that we have to go in to learn. Okay. So now, so whenever you're typing the URL, what happens internally? Okay. So internally, it is going to create a one request. Okay. So say suppose this is a browser. This is a browser, and here the tab is there. Okay. So here you will type the HTTP something. Okay. HTTP colon double slash something you will type here. Okay. So when you click on enter, after writing this, when you click on enter, So internally in the browser, it is going to create a request. Okay, the request contains to and from information. Okay, so into this is all the parameter it contains. Basically, what are all the parameters we are sending through the URL will be going to the to only. Okay, so what is the path? What is the street? With respect to general example, it is okay. What is the apartment name or apartment ID? What is the flat number? What is the resource name? So all this information will go through the to only. And in the from, after we are sending this information to the to, in response to that, they will be giving us name and contact number of the person who is sitting inside this flat. Okay, so there we were identifying, right? After entering to the street, after entering to the apartment, after entering to the flat number, inside the flat number, any particular person. Okay, so here also in the same way that in the to, all the information about the URL is present, and in the from, like after reaching there, okay, after reaching this flat number, so they will get to know who is that person and name, contact number, and ID, etc., etc., etc. They will get in as a part of the response. Okay, okay. So now this is done with a general example. Okay, so now, okay, observe here the slide. What is happening? Okay, so there we were mentioning like a street, apartment, flat, and person. Okay, so we will try to convert the general example to real application level. Okay, so instead of street, use it as a network. Instead of apartment, consider it as a system or computer or server. Instead of flat, consider it as a web application. Instead of person, consider it as a resource. Okay, so say suppose here we have a this functionality. Okay, so maybe here one more is there. So this is a apartment. Okay, so this is the first one is the okay server. This is the web application. Okay, so inside that we will be having the resources, login resource, home resource, inbox resource. Okay, so we are having the different resources here. Okay, so this is a home resource. Okay, this is the login resource. This is the inbox resource. So in the general example, we were considering it as a street. Okay, and this has a apartment name and apartment ID. So this has a flat number, flat, first flat, or second flat, or third flat, like that we were defining. Okay, so that is what we are converting into technical way. Okay, so this is the server, this is the web application, this is the resource. Inside the resource, if we need any particular information, means we can make use of a query string. Okay, so this is what you have to understand. And then, okay, I was telling that when you enter the URL, when you type in the browser, what happens internally? Make use of a chat. Yes, what happens internally whenever we are typing a URL in the browser? Make use of a chat feature, huh? Okay. According to Amit, it will create a request. What about others? See, GoToMeeting has implemented a chat feature because of this only. If you guys are not able to unmute yourself and talk means, you can make use of a great feature that is chat feature to tell your answers. What about others? Quick guys. See, I'm not feeling well, but still I'm as I'm talking this much. You guys are not responding me. What happens whenever you type the URL in the browser? Okay. So whenever, see, I will tell you once again. Remember, okay. So whenever you type some URL in the browser, internally it is going to create a request. That request contains the to and from information. Okay. So that is in general language. Okay. But technically, if you are speaking, that request must contain, instead of to, consider it as a header. Instead of from, consider it as a body. Okay. So it must contain header and body. In the header, all the information about the request will be present. In the body, after sending the request, what is the response we are getting now? That will be stored in the body. That will be given, provided in the body. Okay. Clear at least now? Clear? Clear? Okay. So now, what we have to learn? So okay, you all this done? Okay. So observe here what is happening. This is also example I taken to understand you guys. This is the browser. Okay. So this is the browser. Guys, give some attention. Okay. I will ask you a question after this explanation. Okay. So this is the browser. Okay. So you are entering the URL on this browser. Okay. http://facebook.com/login. So whenever you are giving a enter after writing this URL, it is internally going and it is internally creating a request. Okay. So what is that request contains? So that request contains header and body. Okay. So that request contains this header and body. In the header, what is going as a part of header? URL and domain name. Okay. So and it is going here and it is performing the login action. And in response to that, it is returning some response here. Okay. That is in the form of JSON. Okay. So this is how it happens. So whenever you're typing the URL, it is going to create a request, and based upon the input you have provided, it will go to the application, it will go to the server, and it will go to the particular application, and it will return the response back. Okay. So this is what the flow. Okay. Understood, right? So what happens here? Observe here what is happening. So in the network, this is the network. Okay. So in the network, you have a plenty of application. Okay. So in the network, you have a plenty of application. There's no count at all. You have a Twitter, you have a Facebook, you have a WhatsApp, you have a Instagram, etc., etc., etc. There's no count at all. Okay. So in the network, we have hosted each and every application. Okay. So how my network, how my server will get to know I want only the Facebook only, because it contains plenty of network. There's no count at all. But whenever we are sending this request, how it is going exactly to the Facebook and returning the response back? Mm-hmm.
through API web service.
Sorry.
Through API web service.
Okay. Now my question is, see, you are typing some URL here in the browser. So whenever you're typing, it is, whenever this is what happens, guys. Whenever we are working also, see, here, here this is there. Okay. So here I'm typing URL and I'm clicking on enter. So internally in the browser, it is going to create a request. That request contains the two parameters. One is header, one is body. In the header, what are all the parameter has to go to work with that API will go. And in the body, as a response to that request, we will receive a details of the body. Okay. So now my question is, mm, my question is, okay, in the network and in the server, there are plenty of application hosted. Okay, there's no count at all. See, GitHub and Google.com, Gmail, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, WhatsApp. There's no count at all. Plenty of application is there. How my server will get to know that I have to work with the Facebook only? Mm-hmm. Okay. Just a single word. Simple. How my server, how my server get to know it has to, you know, go for that particular application. Chaitanya, you are close to the answer. Sorry, not Chaitanya. Chamika, right? Chamika, you are close to answer. No. Okay. Okay, fine. See, guys. Yesterday, I was telling you, right? In the web URL, what are all the things are mandatory? In the URL of the web application, what are all the things are very mandatory? Hmm. Which is mandatory in the URL? Which is mandatory parameter in the URL? Very good. Okay. Domain name. Yes, protocol is also there. Domain name. Okay. So what is your answer now? So when, okay. So in the server, there are plenty of application. How it will get to know? It has to retrieve from this particular application only. By using what? Hmm. By using, Yes. Hmm. Okay. See. Okay, absolutely. So this is a network, guys. Okay. So here we have a Facebook, here we have a Google, here we have a Gmail, here we have a Twitter, Instagram, WhatsApp. Like that, there are plenty of application has been hosted in the server. Okay. So if I identify the server name, inside the server we have a application. Plenty of application. That is not a correct server name. Okay. So we have to specify the particular domain name. So even though millions of billions of application is there, in the URL we are specifying it is the Facebook. Okay. So this is a uniquely identified number. Okay, domain name. So whenever we are specifying it is a Facebook, even though plenty of application is present here, it will only go to the Facebook only and will return the response body. Okay, but it will only go to the Facebook because we have specified domain name. Domain name or the domain ID. The both are these also fine, but this is how it happens. It is go, it is identify, and it will come back. Okay, so understood now? Okay, okay. So now try to understand the protocol. Okay, so this is the first parameter in the URL. Okay, agree that. Okay, protocol. Basically, protocol is a common language or instruction. Okay, so now why we need a protocol? Okay, so protocol, what it is doing, guys? So understand it like a story. Okay, so I suggest you to understand each and everything like a story. So having that story in mind, create your own technical words to explain in front of the interviewer. Okay, this is what the plan. Okay, so what is this protocol is doing is it is okay providing a address to writers. Okay, that's fine. But okay, what it is doing, okay, so it is using the some syntax. Okay, so means the protocol is telling that okay, if you are using my protocol, if you are using what are the protocol available from me, you have to follow this particular syntax only. Then only I will allow you to work with a web application. Otherwise, I will not allow. So we will write now in the web URL. So this one. So for example, where is my cursor? Okay. So like this, HTTPS. Okay. So we will write like this. Login. Okay. So we are trying to hit the URL by writing like this now. HTTPS. Now you have to tell me which one will work or both will work. Which one will work? And both will valid. I have to tell quickly. Okay. I have to quickly make use of a chat feature and answer me for this. Which one will work? The first one or second one or both? According to Amit, second. What about others? Hmm? Shamika, Prashant, Rohit, Ronit, Sudhakar, Vinita.
Ma'am, actually your voice is too breaking, ma'am.
Is it now?
No, ma'am,
For the others
same.
also same? For the others also same?
Yeah, ma'am. Abhi right now is okay, fine.
Okay. Okay. Now fine?
Yeah, fine, ma'am.
Okay. So what I'm telling is, okay, the protocol is the first parameter in the URL. Okay, that is fine. But what I'm telling is, so whenever we are typing a URL in the browser, can we follow this format, or is it okay to follow this format? What do you feel like? This is also fine, this is also fine, or only particular one is fine?
Mm, ma'am, particular one is fine.
Which one that? First one or second one?
First one. Yeah, first one.
This one?
Yes,
First
ma'am.
one. Okay, okay. So this is the second one. Okay, okay. Now I will tell you. So this protocol is giving that syntax. Okay. Observe the syntax here. What is this protocol is giving the syntax? After the protocol, it should be domain name. If you're using the port number, okay, next port number. If you're using the resource path, next after the port resource path. If you're using the query string, okay, you can use after the resource path. Okay. So then
Yeah.
observe this one. So which one is correct? Okay. Yeah. Second one. Okay. So why? It is clearly telling that, okay, protocol is nothing but, guys, set of rules that it is providing, set of rules and instruction to create a URL. Okay, so it is telling that if you're using the my protocol like HTTP or HTTPS or FTP, SMTP, etc., etc., okay, if you're using my protocol, you have to follow the syntax which is provided by me. So what is that syntax it is telling? Immediately after the protocol, we have to use the domain name, and the port number is a optional. Okay, you can use either, you can use or you cannot use. Okay, so it is optional, so I am leaving here. Then immediately after the port number, it must be a resource path. Okay, so here what is doing in the first example, first only we are specifying the resource path immediately after the protocol, then facebook.com we are writing. So the protocol will immediately throw you an error. What you're doing, like, I am clearly telling that you have to follow this syntax. Again you're trying to do something extra. I will not allow you to get any of the information from this website. Okay, so that's why I will not give you any of the information from this domain. So this is not acceptable because I have given a syntax clearly saying immediately after the protocol it must be a domain name, then the port number, then the resource path, then the query string and the parameter, fragment ID. Okay. So, but it is, it is using the wrong format. So that's why it will throw you an error for this, and it will not allow you to perform any of the action with the first URL, and it will work with fine with the second URL. Okay. So this is how. So protocol is nothing but a set of rules and instruction. Okay, remember what is protocol if they ask you? It is a set of rules and instruction how the design of the URL should happen. Okay. So it is provided some syntax. We are following the same syntax to generate the URL. Okay. Clear? Okay. Okay. So now just an example, guys. Okay, just an example I'm giving you how the protocol will work. See, this is one person who knows only He's from French. He knows only the French language. This is one person. He is sitting inside the shop and he is from China and he knows only Chinese. Okay, this person has visited China now. So this person has seen one application. So sorry, one mobile in this shop. Okay, he wants to buy that mobile. So what is happening? He's going to the shop. Okay, so he's going to the shop and he is asking something at the shop owner in the French language because he knows only French. Okay, so then the person who is sitting in the shop knows only Chinese. So whatever the language is, accepting from the French guy means okay, it is in French, so he's not able to understand that because he's talking in French. So this person knows only Chinese. Okay, so now whatever the thing he is asking, he is not able to understand. Whatever the thing he is responding, he is not able to understand. Okay, so this is a big question now. Okay, so what they did, so they have come to the conclusion that okay, we'll see. I'm using the French and you are not able to understand. You are using the Chinese, I'm not able to understand. Okay, but safer side to both of our convenient, we will make use of the English language. Okay, so we'll communicate with the English language so that both can understand this. Okay, so that is why we are using a English language here to understand and exchange the information. So here also in the server level, we'll make use of a protocol to communicate each other. So why we have to make use of a protocol? Because to communicate for the smooth communication. Okay, so this protocol, so protocol for the request also they choose the same format, and while sending the response also it use the same protocol format. Okay, so that is why it is using as a common language. Okay, so for this reason we will be making use of a protocol. Okay, understood about the protocol? Why we have to use the protocol? So basically the protocol is setting some rules and instruction. Okay, set of rules and instruction. So while sending the information also it follows the rules, while providing response back also it follows the rules. Okay, it's something like whenever in school we are doing some action, if the set of rules means we follow it properly, right? If there is no rules means randomly we will do action. That will not work out finally. Okay, so it is set of rules and instruction that we have to follow. So, however, it is defining the URL should be, so like that only we have to define. Otherwise, it will not work. Okay. Understanding or any doubt? Mm-hmm. Just just reply in the chat. Understanding or any doubt? Reply, guys. At least yes or no in the chat. If you're not replying, means you know, I will think that you guys are sleeping. Okay. Okay. See, this is what. Okay. 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 So this is all about till the protocol and how it works inside the browser. Okay, in interview if they ask you about the web URL, you have to explain all these things. Okay, so how the web URL, what is URL, how it is defined. If they ask you, you have to give a clear idea. So whenever we are typing any of the URL, internally it is going to create a request which is contain header and body format. In the header, what are the requests we have to perform the action, that all the details will be given there. And in the body, in after sending the request, we get the response. That response we will be given in the body. Okay, so this is and after that, protocol means it is a set of rules and instruction. Okay, we have to define the URL how it has defined in the protocol. Okay, means we have to follow the syntax like first protocol, whichever the protocol we are using, then the domain name, then the port number, then the resource path, then the fragment ID. Okay, so this is the path we have to follow, otherwise it will not work. Okay, so protocol is nothing but rules set of rules and instruction it is providing to work with the web URL. Okay, okay, done. So I will tell you like how the set of rules. So now in your question it should be there. Okay, set of rules and instruction means what is that set of rules and instruction, how it is going, how you're sending, how you're getting back. So these things we have to understand it. Okay, so that we will cover tomorrow's class. Okay, fine. Okay guys, so okay, so this is the second day of the demo. Okay, I will be continuing the demo only till the Friday. Okay, so please plan accordingly of your enrollment. Okay, so because from next Monday we will be starting the actual class. Okay, the link will be changed by next coming Monday. Okay, so before that, if you have any queries means connect with the management and ask with them. If you want to ask anything at me other than the class server, you just call them and inform them, they will connect with me and plan for the enrollment if you are interested. Okay, okay guys, sure, thanks. Yeah, thank you so much for joining. Have a great day. Bye bye. Okay, so yesterday we were talking about protocol, correct? So what is protocol? Why we have to use the protocol? Mm-hmm. Yeah, where the protocol is present in the URL. Okay. Mm. Okay. So protocol. So we have a different protocol. We don't have only a HTTP and HTTPS. Okay. So maybe you might have heard this HTTP and HTTPS often. Correct. So protocol is a common language where two applications can exchange the information each other. Okay. So it's a common language means each and every application can understand this language. Okay. So we have a different types of protocol. Okay, as you know different types of protocol means HTTP protocol, HTTPS protocol, and FTP protocol and SMTP protocol. Have you heard FTP and SMTP protocol? Obviously you have heard HTTP and HTTPS, I'm sure about it, but have you heard FTP and SMTP?
Yeah, it's a file transfer protocol and simple message transfer protocol.
Yeah, where you are using file transfer protocol, what is the scenario? in real time where you're using.
Never use it, but I just heard about it.
Okay, okay, okay. So you guys know that HTTP and HTTPS is the browser level protocol. If you are, working with a browser, obviously you have to make use of this HTTP and HTTPS. Have you used any other protocols other than the HTTP and HTTPS in the browser? No, right? Whatever the application you are accessing, through these protocol only you are accessing, correct? Am I correct? In the browser. Hmm? Correct?
Yes.
Okay. So then, okay. So now questions that when you have to use the HTTP and when you have to go for the HTTPS. When we have to go for the any idea? Any idea? When you have to go for the HTTP and then you have to go for the HTTPS.
When I'm not sure about it. When
Mm-hmm.
when the application is much secure, then use the HTTPS. Yes.
When
Without
the
authentication.
application is not secure, correct?
Yes, without authentication we cannot use as a HTTPS protocol, but HTTP we can use without authentication.
Okay, okay. Others, others. What is your input? Just just tell me what is there in your mind. If it is wrong, is also fine. No issues. Hmm. So when we'll go for that? Mm-hmm. Who's that? Who's that? Okay. Okay. So we know that we have a two protocol for the browser. But now question that when we have to go for the HTTPS and HTTP protocol. Okay. So when we are working with when we are sending the data via server via network, okay, for example, you are performing login action, okay, so whenever you're performing the login action, what you are doing, you will be sending your username and password. So whatever the username and password you are sending for the application, it has to go in secure manner, okay. If it is going through the network tab, means if whatever the username and password whatever we are entering, if it is visible for every user, means it is not correct, right? Means everyone can see that username and password and everyone can access that username and password, okay. So whenever we are sending some secure information, by the time we have to make use of a HTTPS protocol, okay. So whenever we are sending some secure data, okay, that has to go very securely. They should not be visible for any other user. Only the user who is able to access those application can only able to see that. Okay. So if we want to send the information securely, means we have to go for the HTTPS. Okay. So it will send our data with secure manner. Okay. so it will not show our data in the browser and all. Okay, so if we are just performing the retrieval action, means if something we are retrieving from the application, if some data we are receiving from the application, so by the time it's not required to maintain the security. Okay, so just we are telling that please retrieve the data, and it will retrieve the data. Okay, there's no need to send any secure information, but it's okay, you can use, there isn't two option in that case, that you can use http or https, no issues in that. Whatever the protocol you will be using, there is no issues in that. Okay, but if you are working with some if you're sending the data, that too if you're sending the secure data from your end, from the user end, so by the time we must and should we have to send that data with a secure way. Okay, so by the time we will be go for the https only. Okay, so this is the main two difference, because whatever the data we are sending, it should not be visible in the browser. Okay, so it should go with secure, no one can able to see that. So like that we have to send the data to the server. Okay, so by the time we have to make use of a http hypertext protocol. Okay, with secure manner we have to send it. Okay, so next one, then ftp and smtp. So when to use ftp and when to use smtp? Okay, so ftp means file transfer protocol. Okay, so when we have to go for the file transfer protocol, so take a scenario. Okay, so what is that scenario? Okay, I'm taking this class and I have this all the documents now. Okay, so all this protocol, domain name, and this port number, all this document I have. Okay, so you are telling that please share the document with me. Okay, so what I will do? Okay, I will share the document via Google Drive. Okay, I have an account in the Google Drive, and I'm telling that okay, I will send it through a Google, I will I will save in the Google Drive and I will share with you all, like that I will tell. Okay, so what I will do, before sending the sharing the link to of the Google Drive to you guys, I have to save that here, and then I have to share that here. First I have to store all the documents, and then I have to share the document. Okay, so that is the process. If it is not stored, means what should I send there, correct? So while storing and while saving, what is the protocol I'm using? No, that is nothing but FTP protocol. Okay, so these are all the things we will we'll be performing in real time, but we will be not aware of that. Okay, so while storing and sharing, whatever the protocol we are using is nothing but FTP protocol. Okay, so this is the way we are using the file transfer protocol. Okay, basically use it to transfer the file, okay, from one application to another application. So here